Next, we'll go to Stephen, and then finally we'll come back to Eric.
Hi, I'm Stephen Wolfram. I guess I alternate between doing technology development and basic science. I've done that about 5 times in my life. My day job for the last 37 years has been running Wolfram Research and building things like Mathematica and Wolfram Language and Wolfram Alpha and so on. My hobby activity has been doing basic science, things like a big book I wrote called The New Kind of Science, and more recently our physics project, and things that have emerged from that. And I guess in terms of the communication, universal communication, the big thing I've been trying to do for the last 40 years is have this kind of computational representation of the world that can be, that one can sort of formally do things with. And that's been what's behind the technology I built and so on. In recent times, we've been deeply involved with sort of the modern version of AI. I started working on neural nets back in 1980 and couldn't get them to do anything terribly interesting at that time. But although I just recently have returned to something I should have done in 1985, had I known enough to sort of have the right intuition about it. I think the work that I did in the 1980s that led to this thing called the principle of computational equivalence, one of its implications is that when one says the weather has a mind of its own, that's something that actually means something. And this question of sort of how are minds distributed, what kinds of minds are there out there, is one that I've long been interested in. I've tried to study some things recently in terms of sort of alien minds as represented by AIs. And I've had some involvement in the practicalities of kind of, I suppose, what might be called AI alignment and so on. And for these purposes, well, lots of interesting things to discuss. But I think one of the things, perhaps, in terms of communication between minds, I'm beginning to maybe think that I have some kind of theory about that is all connected with this thing we call the Ruliad, which is this kind of entangled limit of all possible computations, and the thing, slices of which observers like us see the laws of physics from.